Hey guys, Nintendrew here. Once again, it is that time of the year. It's basically Gamer Christmas. E3 season is upon us. Next week, Nintendo plans to host about a 40-minute Nintendo Direct on Tuesday. That's just 4 days from the release of this video, and at that point, we are going to have a lot of new information to cover. I'm actually currently working on a really big video project that I expect to be quite a doozy as far as editing and the length of the overall project, so in the meantime, I figured it would be fun to have a little bit of an E3 rumor session to kind of speculate and see if we can pick out any rumors that might have some merit from the comfort of our own homes. So that's what we're going to do in today's video. Let's get right into it. Now, first things first, I do want to address the elephant in the room, the number one thing that's been on every Nintendo fan's mind leading up to E3 this year, which is the Nintendo Switch Pro, or at least that's what the community has taken to calling it. Just a couple of weeks ago, there was a listing on Amazon Mexico, which leaked a page for the new Nintendo Switch Pro. I'm really hoping it's not called that, but, you know, we'll see. But yeah, Amazon Mexico had a listing for this thing that they quickly pulled and took down. Now a lot of news stations have started to pick this up. Bloomberg is saying that the upgraded Switch model will likely be released in September or October of this year, and their best understanding is that this thing is actually slated to be revealed potentially tomorrow on June 12th. So that will be really exciting if that turns out to be the case. Nintendo themselves have said the Direct that they're planning for next week is going to be focused exclusively on Nintendo Switch software that's coming out toward the end of the year. Although we know that they're not always 100% on sticking to their plan or sticking to their word, so who knows? If it doesn't show up tomorrow, it could be that they actually hold it off until their E3 Direct. But at this point, I would be shocked if we did not see any new information about this console within the next week. I think we're gonna have an idea of what this thing is, how much it's gonna cost, which it sounds like it'll be a quite a bit higher price tag than the current Switch. Which, you know, it's to be expected. It's going to have a lot of new features, apparently. This new version supposedly has a 7-inch Samsung OLED display and faster NVIDIA graphics, making it capable of 4K output when attached to the newly improved dock. That 4K output has been my killer feature since the beginning. I've really been banking on that, really hoping that they could pull that off for the next generation of Switch, and it sounds like they've done that. That being said, I did want to put a little caveat out there. As someone who has worked on games before and who has a general understanding of the ecosystem and all that, my best guess is that the older games that have already come out for Switch probably won't have 4K support at launch or necessarily at any point past the launch of the new Switch, whatever it ends up being called. There's not really any clean way for them to just upscale every game that has already come out for the Switch, at least to my knowledge. So my impression is what they're probably going to do is have, you know, updates for some of the major games. Games like Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, Smash Brothers. They're probably going to pump out updates for these in the weeks leading up to the launch of the Switch Pro that will allow them to be able to run at 4K. And then I would imagine that as far as new games coming out for the Switch Pro, developers will probably have the option to be able to render their games at 4K going forward, and we'll have a situation probably similar to the new Nintendo 3DS, where either the games might not work on the original Switch system, or might have a scaled back or lower resolution version. Now, suppliers say that they are confident they can fulfill Nintendo's orders despite the ongoing chip shortages caused by COVID-19, but they've been also very careful to state that this doesn't mean that the orders fulfilled are going to necessarily meet the consumer demand. So I definitely think we're going to have another situation, kind of like the PS5, kind of like the Xbox Series X. I would not be surprised at all if this Switch Pro is pretty hard to get your hands on throughout the end of the year. So if you're interested in this thing, I would highly recommend pre-ordering as soon as they do make that announcement official. That being said, if this rumor is true and the new Nintendo Switch comes out this year with 4K when connected to the new dock, I am super excited, and I cannot wait to see games like Breath of the Wild running in super crisp, beautiful 4K resolution. That'll be amazing. Next up, let's talk about Smash. It's all but certain that we're probably going to have at least one more character from that Smash Fighters Pass Volume 2 revealed at Nintendo's Direct event. And as far as who we might see revealed, there's an interesting theory that I've come across called M Theory. To put it succinctly, some members of the community have found that in Nintendo's North American marketing of the Smash Fighters Pass Volume 2, they've conveniently shied away from showing certain characters' home game titles, which apparently seems to be linked to the mature rating of the titles from which those characters originate. So long story short, it seems that there's a high likelihood that one of the newly revealed characters for Fighter Pass 2 may be from an M-rated series. That has led people to think maybe this is the chance to see either Doom Slayer from the Doom franchise or Master Chief from the Halo series. Now, both of them sound equally ridiculous to me, but I would love if either one of them were to make it into the Smash universe. I'm a big fan of both franchises, and it would just be really cool to see either Doom Guy or Master Chief fighting alongside the likes of Mario and Sonic and Pac-Man. Personally, I don't think I would like to see both of them. They are both, kind of armor-clad, green, pew-pew shooty guys, like, if they both were introduced, they would have quite a bit of overlap in their movesets, I would imagine. But if the M theory pans out and we do end up seeing a fighter from an M-rated series, and it turns out to be either Doom Guy or Master Chief, I cannot tell you how exciting that would be for me. I would love to see that. Another rumor that I've kind of drawn to is the idea of a potential reveal of Crash Bandicoot as a playable fighter. For me, my favorite characters in Smash have always been those that pull from the farthest reaches of the gaming universe, especially those characters that are associated with another platform. In the case of Crash Bandicoot, he's usually associated with the PlayStation, so I would love to see that as well. That rumor excites me a lot, so my dream would be to see, like, Doom Guy and Crash Bandicoot, or maybe Doom Guy and Waluigi. Still rooting for you, bud. Now, as far as what we do know, Nintendo has stated again that this presentation is going to be primarily focused on new Nintendo Switch titles coming out toward the end of the year. So a lot of people are speculating we're most definitely going to get some new information on some upcoming Switch titles like Splatoon 3, Mario Golf Super Rush, and the new Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD remake. Personally, I am still holding out for a 35th anniversary Zelda collection, specifically a compilation of Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker HD, and Twilight Princess HD. We already have remakes of all three of those titles, one of them on the 3DS and two of them for the Wii U. And we know that Nintendo, as far as the Switch is concerned, has not been shy when it comes to ports. So I could definitely see a 35th anniversary Zelda collection finally being revealed at this year's Nintendo Direct E3 presentation. Speaking of anniversaries, there's another rumor that's been tossed around that has to do with the 40th anniversary of Donkey Kong. Because this year also marks Donkey Kong's 40th anniversary, fans have speculated that we're probably going to see some sort of representation when it comes to that series. And specifically, there has been talk of a new original Donkey Kong title that could be from the team that made Mario Odyssey. Now, if this panned out to be true, I can easily imagine them making a new entry in the Donkey Kong Country series. In recent years, we've had Donkey Kong Country Returns and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, which Nintendo has been pretty heavily marketing and have continued to push their popularity. But personally, if I could have whatever I want, I would love to see a new 3D platformer for Donkey Kong in the vein of Donkey Kong 64. Now, this has been historically treated as kind of the black sheep of the Rare catalog for the Nintendo 64, but I genuinely really loved this collectathon adventure, and if the team behind Super Mario Odyssey is working on a brand new title for Donkey Kong, I don't think it's realistic, I don't think it's going to happen, but I would love to see a new 3D platformer. That would be super cool. Another thing to mention is that we just recently got the reveal of Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, the remakes of the Sinnoh generation of Pokemon RPGs. I'm super excited about this too. I grew up with Pokemon Diamond. That was actually the first Pokemon game that I really sunk a lot of time into. So I'm also really looking forward to potentially getting some new information on Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. It'd be really great if we could get an official release date. That's one of the rumors that's also been tossed around, is that we're probably going to see an official release date for Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. And finally, the last franchise that I want to mention for this video is Metroid. There's been a lot of buzz in the community about Metroid. Personally, I feel like I would be jinxing it to talk about Metroid Prime 4. I think it's still a little too early. With the situation that happened behind the scenes, they kind of had to go back to the drawing board and start over. I still think we're a little early to get any real concrete information on Metroid Prime 4. However, there have been some leaks over on Twitter that seem to imply that a Metroid game will be released this year. If that is the case, it's going to have to be revealed very soon, and E3 would make a lot of sense. What I could see happening, more likely to me, would be a new 2D Metroid title for Switch. Something in the vein of Samus Returns, the Metroid 2 remake for Nintendo 3DS. Honestly, I would not be surprised if it were to be a new HD port of Samus Returns. Samus Returns itself was a remake of Metroid 2 for the original Game Boy, and it really didn't seem to have much of an audience. It came out towards the end of the 3DS lifespan, not a lot of people played it, despite the fact that it had really positive reviews and seemed to be, for all intents and purposes, a pretty good game. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Nintendo trying to capitalize on that development time again by porting it over to the Switch. But hopefully with all the buzz surrounding Metroid at E3 2021, I hope I'm wrong. I really hope that we do get to see something about Metroid Prime 4. Metroid Prime is a series I adore, and it's been far too long since we've heard anything about it. It's just, anytime you expect something from Nintendo, they always seem to turn your expectations on their head. So I'm not getting my hopes up for that, but would love to be wrong. But anyway, what do you guys think? Is there anything in particular that you're looking forward to at this year's E3? Or maybe you've heard some musings about a rumor that I might have missed? Make sure to let me know down in the comments below. Like I said, this presentation is in just a few days, so very soon we're going to have a lot of new information to cover, and I cannot wait to go through all of that new info with you guys. As always, if you did enjoy this video, please do consider subscribing to Nintendrew for all sorts of cool gaming content, and make sure to share it with any friends who might find it interesting. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye!